Father God, we come to you once again, Lord. Thank you, Lord Jesus. A day we've never seen before, Lord Jesus, never seen again, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus, bless this meeting, Lord Jesus. Let it be something said, Lord Jesus. We have to stand, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus, bless everybody in the meeting, one on the board. First name I pray, amen.
Okay. Would now join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic that stands one nation indivisible. And if you would give the Siler City meeting.
Well, thank you. Siler City mission statement: to advance a framework for our success through balanced governance, dynamic partnerships, and an engaged community.
And I will read the Siler City vision statement. Siler City is a safe, prosperous, and vibrant community with diversity, innovation, education, and drive success in a globally competitive society. All right, adjustments to the agenda.
Yes, Mayor, there's an adjustment to add Schedule Q, which is a resolution. It's provided each year. Saying regarding the finance contract for the purpose of hearing the water.
That was key. Where you want to add that in? Any other additions?
No, Mayor.
Make a motion to approve the addition.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay. Consent agenda. Or do we have to approve the agenda now?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, like sign. All right, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Oh, okay.
Doing.
Oh,
This is a consent agenda.
Yeah. All right. Have a motion and a second. Discussion, anything on that? Say aye. All those disapprove, like sign, and the motion carried. Okay. To the public hearing. Mr. Manning, you asked me a question for you. Should we say anything about those first two before we go into public hearing or what?
I would not, just want to know.
We can go from there. Okay. At this time, we'll open the public hearing 4.1. Jack and Hannah, Christine, wants more.
I got a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
The planning board table that.
Hey, yes,
So what we supposed to do?
it's up to the board to say who we can, probably have meetings. Or recess it to. Ultimately, that's what staff would be better. Which way. Some of that information that. And so I'd like to recess so that we have recommendation that if it would be bring that back and continue public hearing. So that could be.
Says 23. Well, 11113.
You also need to, we need to put in there the date and time and location.
You'll be here for
6:30.
6:30.
Second, discussion about that. Everybody clear about what we're doing? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign. That. And that. That'll be taken. Recess the public hearing on that one. This point, open the public hearing on 4.2. Clark and hearing on that.
Make a motion that we recess the legislative hearing until February 20th, 2023 at 6:30 PM here in the library.
Have a motion, second, discussion about this one. Everybody clear on what we're doing here. Favor say aye.
Aye.
But like sign. That motion carries. We close the public.
No,
hearing.
it's a recess.
Reset, right here on the word. Yeah, we'll recess the public hearing from Mark Parker. Now we'll open the public hearing on 4.3, Mid-State Development Center LLC and rezone 96.44. We'll open that public hearing.
Thank you for that. So this is item 4.3 mid-state development. All right, in your agenda packet, staff provided a memo for a rezoning here from be rezoned from agricultural residential to heavy industrial. This is 96.44 acres. Property is located on Stark Road, and into his description. So we get this on shed. Towns and industrial and doesn't develop. In this request, the reason it's not a so one is that to consider the entire special condition. There's no use for purpose here. It's reasonable. Relationship of uses, the current use is vacant. It's currently vacant. Repair, manufacturing, railroad, salvage yard, and no uses for the area. It's surrounded by the backward section, lighting, and heavy industrial zone. The planning board recommended to approve the action to inconsistent with the each map because of identified plan for future objective of Siler City and to so they chose that route. Any plan need to be changed if the industrial zone so upgrading the mapping, also revising the land use all the offers involved.
Jack, correct me if I'm wrong. All this, what this is doing, this property, this is recently going to be purchased. This will match what the existing mid-state property is right next to it.
Is the applicant here, and they already have developed quite a bit of land in the area. It's only mid-state development. This will be an extension of that.
It will be also from the east.
Yeah, extend to this area, given all these only heavy into it's. Yeah, and that is a bit. Later.
Yeah, he just needs to be signed up to speak.
Are you fine?
Yes, I'll sign him up.
I think one of the things that, emphasis for this land assembly was to get the rail to mid-state. And that's what this is all about. And, with Scott's help, we worked about a year, maybe a little more than a year, to simple pieces, to get us to, right away for the rail. And we talked to Carl Warren, the president of North Carolina Railroad. They're very excited about, helping us run that spur to mid-state. Disappointingly, we lost 2 projects because we didn't have rail to mid-state. And, so, we chose to go ahead and invest and get to the right of way. So this is what it's all about, is trying to get H1 zoning rail, existing rail to mid-state. Thank you. Is there any questions? What anybody else here for mother?
No, sir.
Board recommends approval. Unanimous. Public hearing is closed. What's the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve the ordinance. Consistent with the adopted land development and page 152, column 2, letter C. Identify adequate land for future industrial development. To approve the ordinance amending the adopted future land use map. And the proposed amendment is reasonable because page 52, page 2 of 52, column 3, Q is in clean. Friendly when possible.
All right, we have a motion. Have a second. Any further questions? Anything? Vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. And the motion carried. Was there a second part for this?
That was it.
That just threw out the deal. Now we'll move on to the public hearing 4.4, Siler City Pentecostal Holiness Church. It's a rezoning. Open public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, board members, this memo of the staff, packet staff provided with, rezone address 17475 US. It's 3 parts, owned by the zone agricultural and the funding to be zoned for highway commercial. Land development plan recommends mixed use and medium density residential. Map in the packet. Matter of fact, the mixed use which is along it's back of the property. As we stated earlier, it's all main change. The relationship of uses is a church, it's surrounded by vacant ag retail, all surrounded by agricultural. In zoning, there's a mix of zoning. Finally, just as the application, it was amended something that the action of inconsistent. And they recommended that the appearance of properties and for the picture that mixed use and rural to just mixed use. So it would be one zoning district and one land use map category. Yeah, that's all I have. There's a sheet and it's case for you can see.
Can we reveal why?
Yeah. The permit for that and got looking at it and need to be smaller than the. That's on the district. AR and maximum. In commercial. So this would be, but it didn't. And then we got us talking about the supply chain. Possibility. It all satisfies the intent of, back in 2017.
And this would be any, since we're talking about church, any church that wants to build something and have a sign similar to that, they have to go through the same process, so they all be treated the same.
Churches that we have, so they're probably in residential district. They're limited, but they were in a situation where the town, this should be. It's yeah, that you can change it to highway commercial office. There's a number of zoning districts. Obviously, in the city.
I don't think anybody signed up to speak.
No, there's not.
Any further discussion? All right, not, this is so, and what are the wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance amending the official zoning map. The action is inconsistent with the adopted land development plan because it encourages, encourage continued commercial retail service and office development in the central. Encourages attractive commercial development in the appropriate location suitable for commercial purposes. The proposed amendment is reasonable because it amends the policy to be more user friendly.
Have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion, question from the board? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All those in favor say aye. I think that takes care of all the confusion. We'll move on now to. Yeah. Excuse me. Oh, I thought you were talking to me. Didn't want to move on. We'll move on now to old business, City Hall renovation project.
Yeah, a meeting with district chief judge. Where county sheriff's office talk about the courtroom, so the necessity for the town. You'll also recall that at our previous board discussed breaking these recommendations so that we can listen to how the project breaking things allows it over Texas year. Revenue also all so our peers in the county, this was a recommendation. I guess of note, you'll notice that they have brought back in place of the that would have been specific to us. They were rather assistant therapists. They said they have 2 chairlifts, so they've never reduced it. Super scared to
Wait, how much money are they willing to chip in to use the rainfire?
next to
I know it's on here, the court sheriff asked for a whole lot of stuff from here, but I didn't see anything outside how much they were willing to put into the pot. And that would have been nice to know about the ramp when we were, had the consult and, drawing up plans, because all that, whatever money we spent on that after winter, so to speak. But they didn't offer any money.
Phone call and answer.
Well, that's funny, that ain't no problem. But that would have been a nice conversation to have when they were walking around asking for all that stuff. I don't remember them volunteering when we were doing all that design.
I would. Keep in mind too, that their opinion is gonna be that. We're choosing to have court in Siler City instead of Pittsburgh. So. The point is gonna be. They want to have court there, they're going to meet their expectations. Fair or unfair.
Well, but understand, I mean, to that point though, you know, we had funded the lift and they want the ADA ramp. So maybe there's a way we can ask them to participate in it because they're asking, we funded one version. They don't want that, they want something else. It'd be different if we hadn't planned.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That was my thought when I first saw that.
I think it's worth at least a phone call.
Yeah. Well, things like that. I agree with you.
Is there, taking the ramp out of it, agreement on the other aspects, phase 1 and phase 2?
I mean, for me, yes.
Well, let me ask another question. If we took the ramp out of it, like you suggested there, where's the money gonna come for the rest of it?
Where do you want to come from?
Yeah,
Well, obviously, this isn't budgeted, so it's part of the capital project ordinance that it would come from. Anything, any of this would come from fund balance for the remaining part of the current year. We could choose to budget for it the next fiscal year, or we could choose to roll up the fund balance. However, we choose to set the 24 budget up for phase 2.
and the reason I asked that question on our last meeting, I think, Mayor Pro Tem brought, you know, we're doing so much, don't really want to take any more money out of funds.
Because what we're doing here, because he has phase 1, phase 2.
Yeah.
Which I get. I mean, if we can, I mean, the 200,000, that's almost half. That's probably 40% of the total. So if we take that 200 and we are able to negotiate something, then that's less that comes out of our pocket. But, you know, 177,000 can be spread across the next budget cycle.
That dual.
That's what the recommendation is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Well, let me ask you another question. If we go back to this ADA ramp, if I remember correctly, and this has been a long time ago now, there was something about the reason we went to the lift, ADA ramp, there was a space limitation or something that involves that the way it was gonna have to be because of the height of it,
Right.
and it had to be so long, it had to make a switch back, and then something like that. Does that mean we're gonna have to go back to the architect or, you know, and re-engineer that whole thing?
I have, I mean, you know, this project predates my time with the town.
Yeah.
I have not heard.
The ADA, yeah, because the ADA ramp was supposed to be in the back. But what we're talking about though, is it in the place of the existing temporary structure? Where is this ADA ramp going?
Back and forth on that. Jennifer, you remember, it's some on the front or the back?
That's where they wanted it in the back.
We originally said it wasn't feasible because it was so large and had so many suites. All right.
That makes me think, and now we've done some work back there, and we probably have things in the way. I don't know. I got a feeling that if we had to do very much redoing and get the architect, it probably wind up without. I don't know.
Can we put it where it is now?
Well, I think part of the issue when there was a lot of discussion was if you're gonna have a board, you want to have one process and anybody comes in and put that screening. You don't want people wandering through straight when they go in the court. Their request is to put X-rays on the back wall, backside. So they're actually than the front of the building. And you know, the staircase is right, same access to the whole building.
Discussion with a mention the ADA ramp versus the lift. Was there discussion as to why we went that way now?
Why the town?
Yeah. Versus the ADA.
I think discussion with the board, saying that was the board that they covered the lift. And their comments were the negative towards the lift. I can say happy to Pittsburgh. They go and they.
But I think to answer your question, I think the discussion that we had, if I remember correctly, was because the way they had to design the ADA ramp was, it was fairly convoluted. So we went with, for space considerations, we went at the recommendation, I think, of the architect at that point in time, was the lift.
But I know it seemed like.
They're in the building. You're not gonna want springs in the opposite in the building, would cause opposite through screen. If you screen or on a port, then anybody on first access under a ramp. Secure.
What was was this additional cost above and beyond what we had budgeted for the lift? Or was this $200,000? Right, no, what I'm saying is we budgeted a certain amount for the lift, say $60,000. Exactly what it was. Is this 140,000 on top of that or 200,000 on top of that? So,
It was just electric work budgeted for the lift, and the design was budgeted for the lift, but not the lift itself.
Yeah. A lot of activity around this ramp or discussion. You know, it's a lot of, seem like maybe unanswered questions we can't really answer tonight. The rest of it, you know, it's sort of like Bill says, if we can deal. Is there a way we can do something or without doing something about the rent? Because we need more information.
I think that, or have some discussions with the county court and sheriff's department around the ADA ramp, but I'm okay with the balance of it. That's just a sticky.
And they said that they would be willing to come and talk to you guys about the ramp if y'all feel like y'all need them to. We can have them here at the next meeting.
You walk around with them and talk to them, you just sort of let them know what the lay of the land is or.
You got discretionary.
You know.
See.
So what do we need to make some kind of.
Mhm.
How would you recommend the needed capital ordinance? Taking out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna have to bring back a new capital project ordinance. I mean, we can bring it back and put it on consent at the next meeting.
No. Yeah. What do we do? Like, that That all from the, you got one?
That's all good.
All right, next case.
Those states. Tonight. Ask you. On. Newspaper. Language for video ad. That you turn to people that are chartering simply.
I think most of that just boilerplate. And the resolution came from the lawyer. So,
So we're talking about the mayor's term expansion. Remember I had brought up before that I thought that possibly we should put it on the ballot for the citizens of Siler City to vote on it in November. Is this a possibility, or I'm the only person on the board that agrees? That's what I'm asking. I don't know if anyone has reason.
I think once, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think when we're doing this, we're gonna do this, and there's gonna be a public hearing. After that, at the end of that one,
There's a public input session.
yeah. Yeah. So you could gauge, if that's necessary to put it on the ballot, you could gauge that. If that's the one.
Because if we put it on the ballot in November, then it wouldn't take effect until 2025.
The problem I see is when we have a public hearing, we have public input, we don't have public comment. And then you get out into the public and they're like, well, for some reason, they don't think they're informed, or they didn't know to come, and then they want to complain and say things to commissioners, and then we have to deal with that. So, I mean, I don't think I could be a problem to put it on the ballot, even if it took till 2025.
Well, it's gonna be in the water bill notice.
And it's not on.
But who makes things? I throw most of mine away every time. I'm like, that's good. Do whatever you want.
You don't want more advertising on this than you do on regular stuff. So what's the wishes of the board?
Good, what you think, this?
I think we need to approve the timeline and draft documents.
I think that's really what we're doing tonight anyway, is approving of the timeline, so that in itself is getting the information out there. Now, whether the people will read it or not, that remains to be seen. But I think just doing the initial parts, that will start, and then we can, depending on what we hear, and if the people will come out that have the concern, then we can make decisions on what to do from that standpoint.
Just to approve this tonight, I would ask the final whereas clause with the date of March 6th, we changed to February 1.
What is it?
The last word.
Let's see. Yeah.
Is there a reason why we shouldn't have it on the sixth? I mean, gives additional time, it gives additional time for people to listen and to, think about it, and more, more time to, provide public input. I don't know, I mean, is there a reason why is there something that's preventing us from having it on the sixth, or are we just,
I agree with that.
Yep.
Because
So, and this was William's suggestion, because they opened the local bill stuff on the 9th. And, but when Hank and I looked at it later after his email, the Senate opens on the 9th, but, the House didn't open until like March 20 something, and that's who we would go through. So, I mean, we think that the schedule is fine. That the one that was actually in the booklet, your packet.
and people don't. You.
you stick to March?
To go with the schedule in the
Yeah.
booklet instead of. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the timeline and draft documents for public consideration.
Motion and second. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none. Go for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say. Okay, get that, Jim?
Yes.
The motion carried. Resolution.
Pretty bored, like, language, it's just. Resolution requested by the group that we're doing the water meter project with. Requesting we have this resolution. So provide this. That project.
Is this authorizing you to be able to sign for?
This would have to sign for.
Questions about this? Do we have to have a motion and all that for this? Okay, what's the wishes of the board? Motion.
So, we're about to-
Motion. Second. Motion second. Any questions or discussions about it before we go to vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, and that carries. Andrew.
Jackson is first community development report, so that's listed separately on the packet, so you have that at the table. Schedule I is also laid at your table, which amends, or it adds to meeting dates for our advisory boards. That includes the downtown advisory committee. That wasn't in your packet. So you have that complete information there. It's something we're working towards. We're striving to have town hall open for our meetings, March 6th. It's like, a long week to be. So that's what we're down on. We have a soft opening before. Also starting. They got that time to rent their schedule. That's the kind of time I will work. Good news, we passed the building, the second, third floor. We did fail the elevator inspection because the contractor got involved. So that's got a bigger place. That's a good thing, that's a supplement. But we passed through important inspections, significant progress. So we can get our certificate of occupancy. So that is very positive results. So, I'm also I'll ask Chris to give the update. SOC had some.
So on our SOC, the state did give us the final. Middle of last week, we reviewed it today in-house with our engineer and a consultant. And we tweaked it a little bit, made some changes. We're gonna meet again the 20th, and then we're gonna submit it back to the state, and then we have a meeting with the state on the 26th. And as long as everything is approved between both parties, then it will go out for public comment. Probably middle of February, for 30 days. It looks pretty good. We just made minor changes. We didn't have any major changes to make. They gave us just about everything we asked for. With a couple of things they didn't, but the first is broken down into 5 phases, and we've already completed everything on the first phase, and it's not even went into, it's not even official yet. So we're making good strides with it. I've had good conversations with the state, so I feel good about it moving forward.
We're moving forward for it.
We are moving forward, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So as part of the SOC, what did we ask for in terms of additional capacity during that monitoring period? So try not to be too specific since it's not official yet. Right. I don't want it. But so we did ask for more allocation than what we asked for, double what they initially gave us, and they met it. And their problems. Now they did add a couple more stipulations to us, but nothing that we went plan on doing already. We get the allocation first and then meet milestones, or so you have to meet the milestones of each phase, and then they'll release that allocation. Okay. Yeah, and we've already met them for the first phase. So whenever it gets done, it'll probably be through the second phase where it actually goes into effect. So we're hoping we'll get both allocations that first 2 phases whenever it goes into effect, which is 120,000. 120,000.
Quite a great work.
Absolutely.
So this process is kind of going on that they're and we're paying more for it. We get a better deal.
Good. Yeah, that's good. Question, since we're talking about DEQ and all that kind of stuff, I know it's so much has happened, I can't keep it all quite straight. Didn't we have to order some additional equipment for down there, some kind of press or pump or something, so that squeeze water out or something? That was part of the first phase. We had to do temporary sludge and for both plants, and both of those went into effect on December 1st. Then we had to order additional blowers, floating aerators for the sewer plant, and those have been ordered. We're just waiting for those to be delivered. What's this day and age where everything, nobody has anything, or it's on a boat out in the ocean? Right. They've not given. But according to phase 1, we just had to have them ordered by December 30th, and we did that. We ordered them on the 18th. So yeah, okay. We check them periodic. We ordered it. Yeah, we ain't dropping the ball. If it stays squeaky, we will get the grade. Right. It's the same company that's doing our upgrade to the sewer plant, so they're not gonna let it fall behind. Yes, sir. Does any of this? Yes and no. So
good answer.
Right. So, as long as this
around.
I would say it depends.
Yeah, there you go. Depends.
What do you mean?
So we can still request, and then that'll be up to them whether they approve it or not. And so far, they've not
turn down anything, which we've not asked for nothing big yet, so. Well, and that's what we're doing at the campsite. We're going ahead and lay it down. We can't connect to it, but we are laying. The other stuff we're not really asked for, that needs to be laid.
Ask for everything.
Yeah.
Last thing here, the end of the packet, page 38 to 41. It's a draft document by the strategic plan, but I think that here Jackson. Parts on the wall. That's been put up, so not asking the board to take any action on this part. Your time, the board time to view this to see if this is acceptable, and so we'll bring it back to the next. Thank you.
Before something I bring up, and I reckon some of the department reports, and I must have left mine. I must have left it at home on the couch. But there's one thing going forward. I reckon it's under the finance pages. Page 6 of 23. These graphs here. Because that's gonna, if I understand, I had to look at this thing a long time. But a lot of information there, but I don't, summary, I don't know if it's, but if I got this right, it's showing 21 revenues and expenses versus 22 revs, so we can sort of see where we are. One thing if you could in the future, go, all these colors are so similar, it's very hard to differentiate, what's what. If we could have some more contrasting colors in there, would be helpful for me to looking at it, because I had a real hard time following. I kept looking at, and the legend over there is so small, I'm old, I can't see. So, and the other thing too, is there's some good numbers on here. But you can sort of imagine, the only thing I really want to know is how much money we got, how much we spent, how does that compare? If we could put, and that's in here, you can draw that out of it. If it was like just a summary of it, like
Executive summary.
yeah, executive summary, that's exactly right. And if you dig through this information over there, it's over there, and all this is real good. You can't look at it at a glance and sort of get an idea of where we're going. But that would give us an idea. We have a tendency to do things in a hurry, and that would allow us to be able to look at it in a glance. Does that make any sense?
What do you mean by having money? Are you asking about fund balance? Are you asking about?
I just want to make sure we're not spending more than we're taking in, because some of this our expenditures up and revenues. I think I did this right, sort of down compared to the same period a year ago. So it's just a procedural change. I don't know. So probably now at the end of the year, I understand it goes like this, but if something a little bit easier to track, you can glance at it and get a better idea. We wouldn't be asking you probably as many questions about what's going on.
Right. A budget's a forecast. Projecting out to the future, and like you said, Mayor, revenues are volatile during the year. Sales tax you get monthly, and it changes depending on what month you're receiving dollars from. So you try to track patterns. Property taxes you really don't get here, so there's a lot of fluctuations in the revenue side. That's why you project out. You don't really budget on a cash basis because it's growth per capita. So we do the best we can on that. That's why we project.
And I knew that. I got that. But it's still, if we're going to compare 21 and 22, same period, 21, same period, it should be some correlation. And you can see that if you had that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong, and it would just be helpful to look at. But if there's a trend developing, we could see it a little bit better that way.
Yeah, but an executive summary would help in some of the key points.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Because that's for someone who doesn't know finance and someone who doesn't know the spreadsheets, it's it's kind of hard to glean. I mean, for those of us who do, it's different, but make sure that we get enough.
But I dare say there's probably only 3 people in this room that probably read that and really know what it says. 2 of them work for us. Thank you. All right, we don't have the town attorney here, or is he on?
Town attorney's conflict, he's going for trial and something.
Yeah. All right, got anybody comments? Hearing none. Anybody got anything? I want to say that.
Motion to adjourn.
Hear motion to adjourn, all those in favor say aye.
So sorry.